Oh, hi everyone, and welcome to Noir Night tonight. My name's Josh Fadum. I remember in January of 1995, HBO made a big deal about their season 6 finale of Tales from the Crypt titled You Murderer, which was also directed by Robert Zemeckis himself.
Care for a chocolate?
It was a special effects heavy noirish tale about a guy who got plastic surgery to change his face. The whole episode was filmed from the protagonist's point of view, and the big surprise is that at some point the character looks in the mirror to reveal that he's played in 1995 by none other than the legendary movie star Humphrey Bogart, who died in 1957. The effect was achieved by incorporating a mix of footage from the Maltese Falcon and using famed Humphrey Bogart impersonator lookalike Robert Saki. The episode itself is okay. I mention this because years later I would have my own aha moment when I saw the film we're showing tonight and realized what they're partly referencing, which is a classic noir, a famous noir. The whole run of this series, I've abstained from showing any Humphrey Bogart films, even though I'm a huge fan. I wanted to wait till the time was right. Being the end of the year, the time seemed right to show a lesser discussed but still very appreciated Bogey and Bacall film, and a personal favorite of mine, Dark Passage. This movie's got prison break, plastic surgery, new identities, on the lam, blamed for something he didn't do. Cool dream sequences with, probably transitions of water going down drains. Art hitchhiking, art deco. It's got all the works in it. I'd like to read a passage from this Barry Gifford book that I really like, which sums it up quite well. Virtually everything that happens in this movie is silly, far-fetched, or just plain unreal. All of which is perfectly fine. Movies aren't meant to be real. The reality is in the feelings produced by the viewing. The reality is in the feelings produced by the viewing. So this is not very real. In fact, it's quite preposterous. Runtime of hour and 40, which is a little, maybe like 10, 15 minutes longer than it usually is, but it never lets up. It's just one interesting scene after another, and there's something to appreciate in every single shot. Whether it's a POV scene, a hitchhiker scene, an Art Deco apartment, cool 1947 San Francisco locations and landscape, classic chemistry of Bogey and Bacall, the delicious villainy of Agnes Moorehead. I hate when people use that word delicious like that, but it seems appropriate here. So in 1946, Robert Montgomery tried an interesting experiment with his Raymond Chandler adaptation of Lady in the Lake. The whole film was shot from the lead character's point of view. I enjoy the experimental elements personally, but many feel that film doesn't totally work. So they employ that idea in this film, and it's fun and grossing, visually exciting. I can't wait to see it in the theater. The film is about a guy accused of murdering his wife. He busts out of the can and he tries to hide out, and he finds an underground plastic surgeon to give him a new face. It's preposterous, I know, but we're dealing with a metaphor, okay? This isn't a documentary, it's an emotional metaphor. Can you handle a metaphor? Can you enjoy? Another fun thing that I like about this film is that it heavily employs having bandages as a visual trope in noir films. I mean, doesn't this look cool? It looks so cool. I'd walk around like this. I'm ready to go out right now. I haven't read any comprehensive analysis about bandages in noir, but I've noticed that it happens. Dark Passage, Somewhere in the Night, Jailbait, that's an Ed Wood film, believe it or not, and it is considered a noir. A Woman's Face, Joan Crawford, The Big Heat. And you see it even carries into the 70s homage neo-noir films like Chinatown and Long Goodbye. In addition to looking cool, it conveys an emotionalness and a toughness and a vulnerability at the same time. So he gets a new face in this very stylistic plastic surgery sequence scene. And when he turns around and looks in the mirror, spoiler alert, turns out to be Bogart's face. But that's not really spoiler because audiences in 1947 knew what they were getting into going to see a Bogart film. It says Bogart's name at the beginning of the movie. So you're having the same experience they did. Some critics and fans criticized this movie for withholding Bogart's fantastic movie face for as long as they did, but I think in the context of him being the biggest star of the day, it's a fun little meta wink to audiences, and it's worth the wait, because he's a huge star and it's still exciting before you see his face, so you can suspend your disbelief and pretend you don't know who it's going to be when they take the bandages off. Oh my God, it's Humphrey Bogart after all. For more context, Lauren Bacall, born Betty Jo Persky, Jewish, was discovered by Howard Hawks very young and was cast in To Have and Have Not. Humphrey Bogart was a big star, one of the greatest of all time, in many people's opinions, mine too, with his non-traditional good looks and a screen persona often imitated with a sly, ethical, yet rebellious, sarcastic everyman concoction. He who clawed his way to his stardom in the 1930s playing thug roles in gangster films and second banana to George Raft, boring, till he finally got to be the protagonist in The Maltese Falcon, Star Maker. So at the time he met Lauren Bacall, he was stuck in a jealous marriage with a drunk lady who was jealous of his stardom, and he and Bacall hit it up big time, much to Hawks' chagrin.
I was gonna make her a big star. She was the greatest piece of ass I've ever had, and I've had them all over the world.
But they all made up and they made movies together such as The Big Sleep. Dark Passage is the underrated of the bunch of their collaborations. Based off a crime novel by David Goodis, who I'd say there's almost no bad adaptations of his work. Hey, quick listen to this Jack Benny spoof of Dark Passage.
Stirring, thrilling, Warner Brothers production, Dark Passage.
My name is Humphrey Benny. I was serving a life sentence for the murder of my wife.
Also worth noting the Tim Burton Batman movie where Jack Nicholson Joker gets the plastic surgery. It seems like they probably looked at Dark Passage as a reference, I would guess. There's some great character actors in this movie. Clifton Young, Bruce Bennett. Bruce Bennett, when he shows up, boy, this Bruce Bennett is so boring. I love him. He's so boring. He gives me comfort every time he shows up. He's there to be boring. He's always the other man. He's always I seem like a nice man and there's nothing wrong with me. Hey, I'm Bruce Bennett. Am I the only person in comedy who's got a Bruce Bennett impression? Hey, wait till you see my Bruce Bennett impression. Hi, I'm Bruce Bennett. Also, Agnes Moorehead. I think she's supposed to be kind of a hag in this movie. I think she's hot, and I think she's got the best outfits. I'll be honest, I'll take Agnes Moorehead over Betty. So, I think that's all I gotta say about this classic noir. So, let's ping pong up and down high society and seedy underbellies of the 1940s San Francisco scene and let that emotional metaphor of preposterousness wash over you. Directed by the reliable, solid director Delmer Daves. Enjoy the David Goodis novel source material Delmer Daves written Dark Passage. Thanks for continuing to come to Noir Night, and I'll see you next year.